And welcome inside our studio. Welcome to the first episode of the Pawd Checkerboard Chats. We're joined today by two of our football captains, Camryn, Bracha, and Jadon Pearson. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having us.
Taylor, first episode of Checkerboard Chats here.
Yep.
A little bit different than the normal episodes we've been going through, but let's run the guys through the gauntlet a little bit maybe.
You guys happy fall camp's over? Game week?
Yeah, it felt like the light at the tunnel was never going to arrive, but, you know, we made it. We made it.
You did. What was the worst part about fall camp for someone who's never seen fall camp or been through fall camp?
Yeah, I think really just for the young guys, just getting adjusted to the schedule. It's pretty extreme coming from a high school level, but us guys like me, this is my third one. JP's been through quite a few. But when you love football as much as you do, you know, it's just a joy to show up every day, and you get to hang out with all your buddies, 100 guys every single day. Like, that's pretty special.
I think you guys got country club version of fall camp because the first 2 weeks it was barely
Nice
in the
outside.
90s.
Oh my gosh. People don't understand who aren't from Fresno how lucky we were. I promise.
So where did your love for football start? We'll start with you, Jadon. When did you start playing? What are your first memories? And then when did you fall in love with football?
I started playing tackle football when I was 5 years old. I started in kindergarten, but my dad got me into football super early. I think it was probably 3 or 4. I just watched the game instantly, just fell in love with it. I think the first conscious memory I have was on a Sunday. I was watching Ray Lewis. My dad loved to show me Ray Lewis clips. So it's ironic because at the time I didn't think I was going to play linebacker because I was always kind of skinny, and then now I'm playing linebacker. So it's still
Full circle, yeah. Cam?
Yeah, I started when I was in second grade. I started with flag football, and then I was an oldest sibling, and we grew up in a competitive house, always roughing up on each other as siblings. So my parents threw me in to football young, and I started as a right tackle. I was the smallest guy on the field, but I played there, and you know, my favorite part about it was I just got to spend more time with my dad. You know, he was always taking me to and from practice. Early game days on Saturday, you know, we would get to spend time together, and what just meant so much to me was seeing him on the sideline give me a thumbs up, knowing I was doing a good job and making him proud. But yeah, that was really special to me.
So we get to see the little right tackle action, or are those days behind you?
Those are a little behind me, fortunately. But that was my first look on the field, and then after that, I got to play some running back and receiver, and that's where I was a little bit more comfortable.
So that journey from obviously the Pee Wee football, super young, all the way through middle school, high school, college, community college for both of you guys. What was that like for you? Just going through all those different levels and then just trying to get to where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of us were really unsure with how our journey was going to go with just all the adversity we've gone through. Me going through high school, you know, always being a smaller kid, people not really thinking I could do it, you know. And so I went junior college really not knowing if I wanted to keep playing football, but also not being sure of what I wanted to study. And so I just played JUCO, had an okay first year. You go into a second year, have a good year, and you still really don't know. And so there's a lot of open-ended things with kind of the process we went through. But, you know, I think as you get older, you just want to hold on to that joy you had when you were a little kid. You know, I think of on days where I don't want to show up for fall camp, I think of me as a little kid playing right tackle, just trying to make my dad proud, you know, and and my mom, and just being man, he would just be, that kid wouldn't believe how far we came, you know, and just seeing how the Lord has blessed me in so many different places. And it's just man, I need to just continue to honor that, and I'm just so lucky to be here.
Same thing for you. What was that journey like to get to where you are now?
It was a very tall roller coaster. It has a lot of highs, a lot of lows, but I always told myself that as soon as I'm done playing football, I have to leave no regrets. So after I struggled a lot at Air Force, and it was really just my decision to go to Reedley College. My mom didn't know anything about it. She's like, "You're going to go to California. Why?" And I was like, I just have a lot of unfinished business with football. So when I went to Reedley, I was like, I really have no other option. I'm just going to do the best I can. Whether it was, I would have kept playing football if it was NAIA, D3, D2. Like, I would have kept playing football no matter the opportunity. And then that gave me a lot. It relieved me of a lot of pressure that I think I was putting on myself. So then I just ended up having a great year. And then I go to Utah and I get a really big reality check. Oh, I'm not as good as I thought I was. So I had to take like a big step back, and then I just worked on myself every single day because I knew the opportunity would eventually come. It just had to come in a different uniform. And then once I got my opportunity last year at Utah State, I felt like I made a really big leap, especially changing positions from safety to linebacker. And then now I'm in a prime position to help the Bulldogs win. So, you know, I'm just thankful that the Lord kept football in my heart, because I think a lot of people would have gave up and just been like, you know what, this isn't for me. And that would have left a lot of room for regret.
Absolutely. Obviously, you think about that journey, and it's the last year for both of you, but now seniors, now captains, kind of run us through that process of what partook to vote on that, but then hearing your name called and knowing that this is the last time you get to do it, but it's also you're representing the other 100-plus guys on the team. Yeah,
so we had a team vote in the team room. It was probably a Sunday or Monday. I want to believe it was one of the days we didn't have a practice. And it was just a paper ballot. You know, there's 114 dudes on the team, and vote for the top 4 dudes that you think represent leadership and who you can turn to when adversity strikes. And I feel extremely honored that my name was called, especially a guy that hasn't played a snap for the Bulldogs yet. You know, I've only been here since January, and my goal is for coming here is it's my last year. I'm going to be the best person to be around, because I've been in some locker rooms where it was like, the dudes, they're just not, like, off the field, they're just not good guys to have in a locker room. So I always wanted to be the uplifting one, to bring the energy. You know, there's going to be days during the summer and during winter conditioning and lifts where it's like, man, like, I got to wake up, I got to come in. But, you know, once you flip that mindset, it just brings a lot more guys closer together. And I think that's what helped my teammates chose me for captain. I just feel extremely honored that they felt that I can bring that and uplift the team in that way.
Program you grew up watching.
Yeah.
What is that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was really special. I mean, I don't think I've wrapped my mind around it. You know, I think maybe first time we walked down that ramp together and going to the coin flip, then we'll really understand. But like JP said, you're just so grateful to be able to represent the people around you, you know. And so one thing, I was walking out of fall camp just wanted to serve my teammates more, you know. How can I be a better leader for them? How can I be a better servant and leader for the guys around me? And it's pretty cool. I wrote that a few days before we got this opportunity, you know. And so to just know the guys trust me, that's a huge confidence thing for me, that they believe in me to go out there. But, you know, these guys voted me and JP to be who we are, to be captains for who we are. So, you know, that doesn't change anything for us. You know, we just got to be who we are every single day, you know, and show up for our teammates, be the ones for them to look towards. And, you know, to be honest, you know, we may not have all the answers out all the time. There's great leaders in that locker room that aren't going to be captains. And, you know, I just want those guys to continue to pursue and help our team, because, you know, it's just a label, you know. We're extremely thankful, but we know there's a lot of other guys in that locker room. And so if it means me having to surrender to some other guy's leadership, you know, I'm so for it. Whatever to make the team better in any case. And, you know, but, you know, we read a quote earlier, a man's only as good as his surrender to the Lord. So I got another good title, but how can I continue to honor him through that?
Absolutely.
So, Cam, you've had a long journey. You went the JUCO route. You've had some season-ending injuries you've had to come back from. Yeah. And now you're entering your final season as the captain of your hometown team. So what will make this season successful for yourself and then for the team?
Yeah. My biggest thing this year is I just want to enjoy it. You know, I've been really lucky to have this journey. Just how everything's come together. You know, I had so many doubts that people have put on me throughout it, you know, and not really knowing how it was going to go. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it's a stressful thing for sure. Play on Saturdays, you know, it's a lot of fun. It's our dream. But, you know, this can be a very stressful thing throughout the year. And so my biggest thing that's going to lead to any success or anything is just to have fun, to make memories, to build connections with the guys around me, and hopefully leave the place better than I found it, and impact the people around me in a positive way off the field. Mm-hmm. And, for the team success, of course, it's to win, But like I said, to build those relationships, to get better every day, and the winning will come. And, one day I'll be able to come back to this stadium, like I talked about with my wife and kids, and just be able to share the memories, we've made, and just to be able to bond with that with my kids and my wife, and hopefully look at the banner one day that we hang, here in a few months. But just to kind of teach my kids what I learned through this time of life, and, the memories I made and how special it really was. And I'm excited just to teach them all about this, because this game gives some valuable lessons.
So, Jadon, you've also had a long journey, but you found your final home here in the Valley, and you get to finish off your career as a captain. So, same question, what makes this season successful for you and then for your team?
Yeah, for the team, kind of what Cam was saying is that we want to win, but those dudes in the locker room, like, just building a fulfilling, lasting relationship is probably the biggest key that I want to instill, is that even when the season's done and it's January, it's, I'm not here anymore. Like, I still want to be able to come back for like a pro day and just see all those dudes and just be like, man, like I have a genuine appreciation for everyone there. Yeah. So I think that when you come to the facility every day, like, if you have that mindset, then it's gonna reap benefits such as winning in championships. So I think if you focus more on who you're playing for than who you're playing against, you'll get a much better result, in my opinion.
Definitely.
No doubt.
Your last first game, describe those emotions, obviously plane ride, bus rides, whatever it might be, but when you finally sit in that locker for the last couple minutes and you put the helmet on and you walk out the doors, it's battle time. But describe those emotions of the first game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pregame jitters guy. I get nervous for sure, but there's no secret that that's just the emotions throughout the whole room. You care so much about everything you've put into this year, and you find so much joy in the hard work you've put in with, like, your senior class, the leaders on the team, and you deserve to be successful for how hard we've worked. And so there comes a confidence of that as well. Knowing you've done the work, we've prepared, we can be confident in what we've done. But, once we're walking down that ramp or wherever we're walking into, right before it's go time, and it's just time to go to war with your guys. And, like, what more would you rather want,
Nothing. We're in a fight that we didn't start.
Yeah.
We're in a fight that we didn't start.
What's that like for you?
I'm not a pretty big jitters guy pregame, to be honest. I like to keep it really level-headed. I don't think the nerves really kick in until it's that final time walking out of the locker room. It's like, because you have like an hour and a half before the game, and I really just like I'll FaceTime my mom before the game. Whenever it's like our personal time to go out onto the field, I'll pray. I'll kind of get in that place of peace, and then, but kind of like you said, like those last couple minutes before you walk out, it's just clear everything out, and I know that my preparation throughout the week is exactly where it needs to be. So now it's just go out and just do what I've been doing since I was 5 years old. So that's kind of how my process goes. But I definitely will be probably pretty nervous for the first game.
A little juiced.
Yeah, the first game is always a little iffy. I'm like, man, we're back at it again. But as soon as the first kickoff gets kicked, it's just ready to go.
Is it kickoff or is it the first impact?
First hit for me.
I think it's first kickoff.
Okay.
Even when it's kick return and like the offense goes out, I think I'll be pretty nervous. But I don't know. It's kind of week to week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take us through your game day routines, any superstitions or things that you guys do.
I'm not a big superstitious guy. Like, I don't need to wear the same socks or the same gloves or anything. I tried to do that when I was like 8, and I was like, Mom, we can't wash the jersey if we keep winning. My mom's like,
think it was
Jersey
wrong.
stinks. Your Jersey stinks.
The jersey has to
We
stay outside.
washed it, and we kept winning. So, like, ever since then, I've kind of just been like, you know what, the preparation is going to handle itself. But I'll say the only thing I do pregame is I'll walk around the field twice, and I'll just be really thankful that I'm able to keep playing football and play football at this level, because there's not a lot of people that get this opportunity too. So I like to think about the time when I was in middle school, high school, when it was like, man, I can't wait to get there one day. And then I'm living that dream. So that's probably the only superstitious thing I would like to do, and probably just go over some pregame notes. But that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah. I don't have too much either. I guess I have a routine, just pre-practice routine every day, just hot tub, cold tub. I'm a big pregame nap guy. I think that's huge. But I like to get my feet up and watch football throughout the day, you know, whether that's football that's on, or I like to watch good old games, whether that be Alabama, LSU, or just 2019 is a big one, or you got like, I don't know, just national championship games. I like to watch good football before I go out there, just to get my mind right. But yeah, walking around the field, you know, like JP said, just showing your gratitude, just thanking the Lord, praying over that place, and seeing my family when we play at home, getting to do the March to Victory is a big thing. But yeah, I just like to get in my own space and be able to relax.
What's different about road games? Just being with all your guys in a hotel, like you against everybody.
I'll say road games are very unique in the sense that it's really just you guys there.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have maybe some parents that fly out to the game, but for the most part, it's that entire crowd against you. So you have to get in your mind that, hey, like, we have to play really together, especially in a hostile environment. So I think it's a lot different in that sense. And home games, I think you get to sleep in, like, your own bed here. You know the location, you know the facility, you're able to use all the tools of our own facility, where, like, on a home game, on a away game, you can't go use the opponent's, like, hot or cold tub. So you kind of have to tweak your routine just a little bit on away games. But for home games, you can get in your head a lot more, because now you, like, know a lot more people going to the game. So you kind of have to block out the noise. Kind of two different instances, one being the away team, one being the home team. You kind of got to stay in, like, that middle ground, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a big playing at home guy, obviously, since I grew up in the stadium. But by that, like, 5th or 6th week traveling, it's like, you're packing your bag Thursday night, you're up early Friday, and you're on the road, or on the plane, like, before you know it. And when it gets through the year, you're just like, that can get long for sure. But it is special being able to be in the hotel with the guys, you know, like JP said, everyone's there. And, you know, when you go on those trips, you just got one thing in mind, and that's to win. And, you know, I think, I don't know, it's special just going to an extreme environment and just be able to silence a place, you know, and get really excited. And, you know, Coach Entz was talking about, you know, when we go to Kansas, the whole stadium's going to be filled because we're there, you know. If Kansas was just playing, like, there wouldn't be that many people there. And so it's to a point where, you know, people are there to see us as well. And I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. Dogs bring a title with them.
Yeah.
And a posse. We're hoping that the Red Wave is going to pack out that new stadium.
They will.
Silence that crowd just a little bit with you guys on the field. Speaking of home games, we talked about being on the road, but what does he have to look forward to with home games? What are those things that gets you juiced to play in that home stadium?
Yeah, I think that initial walk down is just awesome. Everyone kind of huddling around. The tailgating is obviously huge. The March to Victory is huge. Getting to see your family pregame is so special. But it will not be there if we don't win. I will say that specifically, and everyone knows that. So as long as we're winning, people are showing up. But yeah, we got to do our job to make sure people are there. You know, that starts with us. But you know, those people are rowdy, and it's a lot of fun to have them there. And you know, I was going to games in those stadiums 3 years ago. You know, like not that long ago when they won a championship in 22. So I know what it's like to be on both sides, and you know, it's a lot of fun when the dogs are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, that's just, it first starts with us and everything will follow,
Yeah.
What have you heard? What are you looking forward to?
I've heard that Fresno State fans are like the NFL equivalent of Raiders fans. And me being a Chiefs fan, I'm like, oh, it's gonna get pretty rowdy then, because those Raider fans are ruthless. So I love environments like that. Like I love when I'm playing in a home game and the home crowd is just feeding us energy. So like that's probably like the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to.
You've gone down the ramp and up the ramp, feels like 100 times already, but when you have to do it as the home team versus the away team, there's got to be a little bit of juice that comes with that too. A little bit of like, ooh, I'm glad I'm on this side.
Oh yeah. It's you got to win the ramp every single time you run up it, and I can only imagine what it feels like for an opponent who has to run up and down it 5 times before we even kick the ball off. So especially at halftime, after you've already played a half, and they're probably gonna be like, dang, this ramp is long. But that's just the type of environment that we like to train in. That's what comes with the Bulldog logos. That we're gonna do stuff the hard way, and it's gonna pay off when we need it.
Andrew's won the ramp. I've never won the ramp. I'll tell you.
We'll have to get her
never.
to win the ramp this year. We're gonna get her trotting up there.
So when you look at Kansas offensively, what do you guys have to do defensively to be successful on Saturday?
Yeah, I think we just need to be ourselves, We've worked hard all year on preparing who we need to be, and that's the biggest thing. I think if we just take care of our business, we're going to be great. They've got great players over there, no doubt. It's a Big 12 program. They got a great quarterback coming back who's played a lot of ball, great skill players, some linemen coming back, which will be huge. But, yeah, good running backs, like tight end room, special too. They're good all across the board, And, it can be hard to stop a team like that if you're not who you are as a core defensively. And I think that's what's been special about our group is we just work on who we are and how we can be the best to our ability. And, if we're our best on Saturdays, we believe that's enough to win. And so that's just going to be the biggest thing for us. How can we play confident collectively as a group, play for one another, and play Bulldog football, and everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, it's just as long as we can line up and just communicate to each other, then the opponent isn't the biggest factor whenever it comes to game day. It's like no matter who we're playing, we still have to do what we've been trained to do, and that's just line up, talk to each other, and just play fast and just play with great effort. And that'll eliminate a lot of big explosive plays that might happen if we just follow those keys.
Yeah. Last question for me. What's your why? Why do you guys play football?
How long do you have?
My why is my father. He passed away when I was 7 from leukemia. He passed away at 39. That's why I wear 39. And he's the one that just really introduced me to the game. And I remember up until he passed, he was the most energetic. Like he was probably more excited for game days than I was, and which I think was pretty hard to do when I was 7 because I was up at the crack of dawn ready to go. And so I would say that's my why. And then ever since it's kind of shifted throughout my playing career is seeing my mom take care of me and my little brother, and I can count on one hand how many games she's missed throughout my playing career. So she's my biggest supporter. Even when I was down in my valley, when I didn't know where I was going to play football, if I was going to keep playing football, she always had my back. So it was just I love to see her on game days, and I can have a good game, bad game. Like her smile just erases all of it, and I think that's what pushes me so hard to keep going.
Yeah, I think for me, I've been really blessed to be on the journey I've been on, and so honoring the Lord in the best way I can is always the best thing. And I think there's a lot of kids that are looking into our world, seeing how we're responding to things. And even in our locker room, when I went down with the injury, I felt like a lot of people were trying to see how I was going to respond. And, I think those little interactions on a day-to-day, whether that be with guys outside or inside the locker room, are just huge on how you can influence people around you. But, my ride's definitely been a roller coaster, like we've talked about. And, you know, I've faced a lot of adversity. I've had a lot of people tell me, you know, you can't do it, you know, and for a long time I believed that, to be honest. And, you know, that really broke my heart as a kid when I worked so hard, you know, and I wanted to believe in myself, but that stuff kind of meant so much to me at the time. But to be able to, you know, prove it to myself, you know, prove it to, like we talked about, that kid who was just playing football for the first time, you know, and how proud he would be along the journey we've gone, you know. I'm just glad I haven't lost that joy. Yeah. And, you know, again, my family, like JP talked about, just be able to represent my family every Saturday. They're previous alums, you know. They love it. You know, they love going out there, just being able to just watch me in a place that I love, and, you know, saying they're proud of me and being able to be like, hey, that's my son out there, you know, just to be able to do that for them. But there's a lot of people who have helped me along the way, you know, a lot of coaches, family, mentor, and, you know, to be able to be the product that they've helped me become, you know, I wouldn't be here without any of them. You know, it's like to be able to represent those people is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, that's their why. Before you get to see them at home, you get to see them in Kansas first, hopefully coming home with the win. So we appreciate you guys for jumping on. It's been a special chat, and yeah. I'm sure we'll see you again later in the season once we got a couple of wins racked up.
No doubt.
Yes, thank you for jumping on. We'll be right back here on the pod. Welcome back to the pod, Checkerboard Chats. We're joined now by the voice of the Jayhawks, Brian Hanni. Welcome in, Brian.
Andrew, Taylor, great to be on with you guys.
Yeah, how's it in Lawrence, Kansas right now?
It's exciting. You know, we're just a couple of days away from opening up the brand new David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium. You guys will get to be here for a historic day in the history of our program. The stadium's only 2/3 of the way done. Phase 2 will happen after this season, but you're going to see one of the most state-of-the-art partial stadiums in America, and something that's been a long time coming. So it's an exciting day for us, not only to kick off the season with a great opponent in a Week 0 matchup on national TV, but a historic day for our program, our university, our campus, all of that. So as you can imagine, excitement, optimism, all of that in the air right now here in Lawrence, Kansas.
I know we've all been seeing the updates via social media, whatever it might be. You say, oh, look at the brand new turf, look at the stands. Like, it looks like an awesome facility, and we can't wait to get there and be able to get on that grass, be able to touch down and just see what it looks like. And obviously our fans are excited as well. I think everybody's just itching for some Week 0 college football.
Yeah, no doubt. We're fired up. Obviously, a ton of respect for your program, and it was fun last week hearing Lance Leipold talk a little bit about Coach Entz and how much he respects him and his reputation, how he's known about him for quite some time now. And so I think with Week 0, you know, you try to see how the new pieces fit in, how the new coaching schemes fit in, and obviously that's the way it is in a normal season with a Week 1 game, but you get an even earlier look at what you have, and we'll find out pretty quickly some of these new pieces on both sides of the field, Fresno State and Kansas, just how well they're mixing and matching and meshing. And we're hopeful with 50 newcomers on this Kansas team, but a lot of important returnees as well, that this is a club that can compete for a bowl game for a third time in the last 4 years and possibly compete for a Big 12 title. But to get an August 23rd taste of this new-look Jayhawk club, it comes a lot earlier than what we're accustomed to, and yet they've been practicing since July 24th. They love all these new pieces, and now it's a chance to go out there and hit somebody else and see how it all fits together.
So when you're looking at the 2024 record, you guys went 5-7, but it's really deceiving if you actually look at the schedule. You had 4 games that you lost by 6 or less points, and then you rallied for the 3 straight ranked wins at the end. So what will the fans not see from that 5-7 record in the schedule that you saw? You know, tell the real story that our fans should know.
Well, I think for a historical perspective, Taylor, we'd never been to back-to-back bowl games. Mm-hmm. And heading into last season on the heels of a couple of bowl appearances and Coach Leipold's second and third years, the bowl games seemed like a foregone conclusion. People were talking about 9 or 10 wins with this group because you had a fifth-year senior quarterback, who, by the way, is back for his 6th season this year, in Jayden Daniels, we're living in. But we thought it was a foregone conclusion. based on all the returning experience they had, multiple NFL offensive linemen, multiple NFL defensive backs, some of the best pass catchers we'd had in the modern era, a running back that got drafted by the New Orleans Saints who left as our all-time rushing leader. We thought the stars were aligned for a 8, 9, 10-win season, but as you alluded to, they stumbled out the gates. Jayden Daniels, that well-tenured, well-seasoned quarterback that I spoke to, he had to shake off a lot of rust from a season the previous year where he got knocked out early in the fall and missed the bulk of the campaign. And between him shaking off the rust and a new OC to get used to, it was about half the season of growing pains, clearing out those cobwebs, and finally hitting their stride. Unfortunately, they dug themselves a hole that proved too big to climb out of. And even though they had that November to remember with the 3 consecutive top 25 upsets that you alluded to, including a big win at undefeated BYU out in Provo, even though they had that as the feather in their cap late, they came up 1 win shy of bowl eligibility. So a season of probably as much preseason anticipation as we can ever recall here ended in considerable disappointment. Fast forward a year, and you've got that same quarterback back. You're mixing in a lot of new skill position pieces and a couple of new offensive linemen. But they're really excited about what they have. Some of these transfer pieces have been immediate fits and have really showed out well in the spring game and throughout summer workouts. And so the confidence is just as high as it was last season. Now you've got the new stadium. You're not busing to Kansas City for a full year to play your road games over there as they did last year. And honestly, Taylor, there's not really a way you can quantify what effect that had on last year's team, not having a true home environment. Does it equal one more win? There's no way to say for sure, but I would probably guess that it would. And so disappointing that they didn't go to 3 consecutive bowl games, but they have absolute expectations for at least a bowl this year and maybe, just maybe, a run at a Big 12 title because they certainly look the part physically in terms of speed and explosiveness. They look as much a Big 12 title contender as I've ever seen at Kansas heading into this year.
And when you look, you said you lost Devin Neal, your running back, 1,000-yard rusher last year. You lost your top 3 wide receivers too, but you brought in a lot of wide receiver transfers. So who should we be excited to see on the field?
Well, I think Emmanuel Henderson is the name that Bulldog fans should circle first and foremost. He's a transfer from Alabama. Pretty good place to go get some football talent, right? And he is by far the best vertical threat that Jayden Daniels will have had in his 6 seasons here. Honestly, probably the fastest receiver we've had in the last 20 years here. So that's saying something. He's been really impressive. Cam Pickett is more of a slot possession receiver type guy that'll pick up that first down on a 3rd and 8 going over the middle, not afraid to catch in traffic and absorb for contact. He's been impressive too, and he hopes to slot into that role vacated by Luke Grimm, who was the most trusted, sure-handed target for Kansas a year ago. Those are the 2 that jump off the page first and foremost amongst transfers. But I think with Jim Zabrowski taking over at offensive coordinator, you're going to see the former KU quarterbacks coach utilize the tight end more. Last season, we had more of a run-focused scheme, and, of course, you had Devin Neal, as you alluded to, Taylor, championing that en route to a KU record for career rushing. But this year, I think they turn it loose again. They go back to the offense we saw 2 years ago in their last bowl season when Andy Kotelnicki was the OC. He's now the offensive coordinator at Penn State, who's competing for a national championship this year. So just goes to show you the pedigree there. I think you're going to see more weapons deployed, field spread. You're going to see the tight ends utilized again. Still some very talented running backs. Daniel Highshaw returns. Le'Shawn Williams transfers in from Iowa. They're going to utilize those guys plenty, don't get me wrong. But I think we see Kansas's offensive attack spread it around to more targets maybe than what we saw at the tight end position last year. And they've got a bevy of talented pieces, that's for sure.
When you look at all of that, you piece it all together, obviously week 0. Season is extremely long. You got a long ways to go until we hit December when championships are being talked about and played for. But when you put that all together, if you had a crystal ball to try and say, this is how I think this season could go, this is how I really think Kansas Jayhawk football is going to turn out, when we hit December? What do you think that crystal ball is going to tell you, and what do you think the story of the season is going to potentially be because of all those new pieces, all those new things that you're talking about?
Well, I think that, as Taylor chronicled, last year's team was off to such a struggling start that they couldn't climb all the way out of that hole to bowl eligibility. And to me, this year, it's a very similar story of the importance of a hot start, because the back half of the schedule appears to be backloaded. Now, if there's one thing I've learned in 20 seasons of covering college football, we can sit here in July and August and try to forecast schedules, and what we think know of the best of the Big 12 might be very different come October and November. But if you look at our conference start versus our conference finish, Kansas really needs to capitalize on a schedule that's more navigable out the gates than maybe it is down the stretch. And that starts with taking care of business in the non-con. And we know what a bear this game's going to be with Fresno State coming in and all the talent you guys bring in, all the tradition you bring in, the pedigree from a coaching perspective that Matt Ince brings in. So we know this is going to be a really tough one. Obviously, week 3 for Kansas on paper would look to be your toughest non-conference opponent at Missouri, bitter rival. For folks out in your part of the country that don't know, this is a rivalry that goes back to the Civil War, and it's the renewal of this rivalry for the first time in 14 years since they left for the SEC. And many of the odds makers, prognosticators see Kansas as a double-digit dog for that one. But if you found a way to get off to a hot start and possibly win that game, who knows, what this season could wind up being. But to me, I look at it in halves, and if you could find a way to get to the halfway mark of this season at 4-2 or maybe even 5-1, then bowl eligibility certainly is well within reach, and you've got a full head of steam, particularly if they got to 5-1 at the midway point, to compete for a Big 12 title. So I'm really excited to hopefully see a much faster start for Kansas here in 2025, but it will certainly be a challenging road to a fast start when you have a quality team like the Bulldogs and obviously that Week 3 game in Columbia.
So when you look at your defense, you lost a lot of key members in your secondary, also your linebackers. So would you say it's your defensive line kind of rallying around your all preseason pick, Dean Miller, in the defensive line, or do you feel like you've gotten some transfers to fill in those other roles?
Well, Dean is certainly a guy we're excited about, and he's a guy that will factor in. But I think there is more depth at the defensive end positions, and the new defensive coordinator, D.K. McDonald, who was on staff a year ago but now elevated with the retirement of Brian Borland. I think it's a situation where he's got a lot more weaponry and can keep those legs fresh, rotating in 4 or 5, 6 really impactful quality defensive ends. And so we're looking forward to seeing a bevy of talented edge rushers. I think there's more athleticism in the linebacking core as well. And I think Bengali Kamara is a name that could compete to be a postseason All Big 12 guy. We talk about preseason All Big 12 and Big 12 honors from last year, like Dean Miller's 2024 award. I think Kamara could be a postseason All Big 12 caliber guy. I think in the secondary, you're going to hear a lot of people talking about the loss of Kobe Bryant, the loss of Mello Dotson. We had a couple of very talented, very experienced safeties we lost as well. But there is a lot of promising talent coming up through the ranks in that secondary that are redshirt freshmen like Jalen Todd and Austin Alexander and guys like that. They got some key transfers coming in that are longer in the tooth and more experienced, like Lyric Walls at safety. And so I think while you're astute, Taylor, to point out some of the key losses, they have more than made up for those departures, not only with the high-impact immediate transfer additions, but also with a program that's getting really good at player development. And some of these recruits from 18 months ago that spent last season as redshirts, now's their chance to shine. And I think they're really excited about some of those guys that step into vacated roles of guys that were drafted or signed undrafted rookie contracts in the NFL, but quite frankly are just as talented. They're just not as experienced. And that's maybe where Fresno State catches them at a good time in week 0, because I promise you by midseason, looking at the talent on this roster at all 3 levels of the defense, by midseason, unless there were injuries, you're not going to hear people saying, man, they missed this guy, or man, there's a void where this player departed. I really think it's a way deeper team and a just as gifted team athletically, maybe even more so at several spots on the defensive side of the ball.
Should make for an exciting week 0 matchup for sure. So let's transition a little bit. Fans, everybody that might be coming in from the Central Valley or maybe coming into Lawrence just for this matchup specifically, what's the place to go on Friday night? Where should they go, whether it be food, drinks, whatever? What is that one spot that if you go, you know you have to go here?
And what a great question. And I love that you think that way, because to me, as a sports fan my entire life, while we love home games, if you ever get a chance to follow your team out on the road, it's neat to kind of immerse yourself in the culture of where you're going and experience the sights and sounds through the vantage point of another college football fan base. And for us in Lawrence, Massachusetts Street, or Mass Street, is where all the action's at. A lot of great restaurants, a lot of great nightlife. That's about 5 blocks east of campus, so it's really close to campus, but that's where you'd want to go maybe for some Saturday lunch, shopping before the game, maybe Friday night, as you alluded to. I'm partial to the 23rd Street Brewery, which is not on Mass Street, more specifically 23rd Street. Name would suggest. We've got an amazing setup out there. I say we because they're partners of the network, and you can get the Brian Hanni turkey stack sandwich with Bill Self Mac. That Lance Leipold has a much healthier option on the menu if you want to go that route. But the point is, there's stuff named after every coach. They've got the best TV setup. That'd be a cool place if you want to watch some other Week 0 action early on Saturday before the 5:30 kickoff. Maybe you go to the 23rd Street Brewery. But this place oozes with tradition and history, whether it's the football side of campus where you've got the Gale Sayers and John Hadel statues out front, or on the basketball side of campus where Dr. James Naismith's original rules reside in Allen Fieldhouse, the most famous venue in all of college basketball. Wilt Chamberlain's number hangs from the rafters. Pretty cool stuff. And Dr. Naismith is actually buried here on the east side of town. You can see the grave site with this mammoth monument tribute to the father of basketball in East Lawrence as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff to do the night before the game or throughout game day as well.
Navigating game day, getting into the stadium, what do those look like? Are there anything new that fans need to know about, obviously, with the new venue?
Everything's new, and it'll be my first experience going through it too. But I would just say, if you really want to navigate entry into the stadium, go to kuathletics.com. There's a video that we've recorded that posts how to do the digital ticking, how to walk through the metal detectors in the most expeditious fashion possible, how to make sure you get in and get out, get to the right gates and all that. Because while I could sit here and act like I know what the experience is going to be like, this is day one for all of us in this brand new place. So we're just as excited to see how it all comes out as you are. But I think you're going to see a state-of-the-art facility with more fan amenities and better sight lines and closer to the field than we've ever had before. And for all those reasons, we're so very excited.
I think last question for me is one of my favorite things about going to different schools and stadiums is the traditions that they have on game day on the field and how they start the game. Is there anything that Kansas does that we should look out for?
You know, the big thing that we like to say is wave the wheat. And you'll see in the new Mammoth turf, Mammoth is a company that does turf, end zones, they have wheat fields in the end zone. And you'll see the new light structures that are kind of pronged like this if you're watching on the video side of the podcast. They're gold in their material metal, but they're gold color, and then they light up to look like the waving wheat fields of Kansas. And so there's so many creative touches that went into the stadium that speak to our traditions. But waving the wheat is what we do whenever the Jayhawks score touchdowns or made field goal, something like that. We wave the wheat. That's the big thing to look for. There's other things, obviously. With basketball, the Rock Chalk chant is more popular at the end of a game and out with Fieldhouse. But waving the wheat for football is probably the big thing. And they'll obviously ring the bell at the top of Campanile, which is the big bell tower structure that overlooks the football stadium at the very top of our campus. And so the bell will get to ringing, and the guys will come out the tunnel, and it'll be a more explosive intro and entrance than you've ever seen before out of Kansas because of all the new bells and whistles at the stadium. So look for that fun tradition too. But beyond that, it's just passionate fans that hope they get tired arms by the end of the day because Jalen Daniels and his new OC are doing their job and scoring a lot of points.
Well, we hope they don't score too many points, but
We love traditions. We love hearing about all of that. We get to be right there and see it all, and so it'll be a fun matchup. Obviously, week 0, we're getting started before almost everybody else, so the eyes will be on everybody, and they'll get a fresh peek at both sides of the ball for you guys, both sides of the ball for us, and we're excited to be there. Again, we appreciate you jumping on and giving us a little insight about Kansas football and a little bit about what we're in for very soon.
Honored to have a chance to come on and talk to you guys. What a great podcast setup you have. This is really impressive. Fresno State fans are lucky. And if you'd allow me 10 more seconds, shout out to my man Richie Price, the all-time hit king in the history of Kansas baseball. Obviously one of your outstanding baseball coaches at Fresno State. I'm sure he's tuned in. Richie, what's up, man? It was a joy to call your games all those years ago. I won't say how many years because we're both getting a little bit straight hair and long tooth. But shout out to Coach Price, all right? You guys have safe travels, and we can't wait to see you real soon.
Yes, we appreciate it, Brian. And we'll be right back here on the Pawd Checkerboard Chats. And welcome back to another portion of the pod here. We're joined by 3 guests that need no introduction, but we got Paul, Pat, and Cam. Thank you for joining us, guys. You know them as the radio hosts of Everything Bulldog Football, and we're excited to have you guys on. Welcome to the studio.
We're excited to be here, obviously.
What was your first impression of the studio?
Studio's impressive. Very, very nice. I'm very impressed.
I mean, all the checkerboard, right?
Yeah, I like the checkerboards. I mean, you can't beat
First
the
thing you
checkerboards.
notice, all the checkerboards. I love it.
Yeah.
If you had this when you were the head coach, how would you use this in recruiting, Pat?
Well, I don't really know, but I would have had to have Taylor to interview him.
I would, but
Yeah.
you had piranhas.
I
so
did.
You didn't need
I did.
this.
I did. I had a whole tank full of them. It was great. And the recruits love those.
You know what's crazy? They didn't let me have a goldfish in my office,
Yeah.
but they let you have piranhas.
Well, they probably didn't know I had them.
Sometimes Pat made his own rules, right? So,
The players liked them too. They'd come in and feed them.
oh yeah, that was
It
awesome.
was a frenzy.
Awesome.
Is there a specific thing you like to feed them? Was it like chicken bones or
No, just goldfish.
your goldfish?
Yeah, if I would have known Taylor had one, I would have got it.
So we're all excited. Football's back, but
Yep.
I want to hear what you guys did in the off season. Starting with you, Pat. What'd you do?
Well, I spent time with my grandchildren, spent a lot of time on the coast. I was playing golf, and then right at the beginning of July, I got a brand new shoulder. I had my shoulder replaced, so I got a new shoulder joint in there. It's guaranteed for 20 years, so
Hey.
I feel really good about it.
Hey. How many grandkids do you have now?
I have 8,
8.
yeah. And we have a birthday party tomorrow for a 2-year-old
that
at
new
my
shoulder.
house, so it'll be exciting.
What about you, Paul?
Boy, good question. Played a lot of basketball, swam at the lake a little bit, tried to keep up with my daughters, enjoying our awesome community.
Didn't you have the spelling bee?
Was that the off season? Sure. I mean, that kind of feels like yeah, we had the National Spelling Bee, and the Bulldog baseball team won the conference tournament. And
So you did a lot of
fun
stuff. What was the winning word?
Oh, man, I don't even remember.
Oof.
You stumped me.
Put him on the spot.
I remember the word I missed 35 years ago.
What
but
was
I don't
that?
remember
What was that?
What was the word?
Oh, you have to ask.
Yeah.
Stachyos, a sugar derived from the Chinese
I had no
artichoke.
clue.
Yep.
I knew that one.
You knew there was a Chinese artichoke? Because I didn't.
Is it STACIOS?
No.
See?
No.
I'm out. I'm out.
I'm out.
Cam, what about you?
Yeah, just work and raising my daughters. My older one's moving on from Fresno City. She's not coming to Fresno State. Unfortunately, she's going down to San Diego State. So I have an Aztec in the family. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. But when you spend a couple of days in San Diego and you wake up and it's 75 degrees, I can see where her mind is. So she's going down. My little one, she's starting her senior year at Clovis North. So it's been pretty nonstop. No football, but life doesn't seem to slow down in the off season.
That's awesome.
All right, Coach, you've been at practice a lot. What's impressed you the most about this squad?
Well, first of all, I really feel strongly about our head coach. I think he's got great vision for the program. He's got a plan. He's had this plan work for him before at North Dakota State. This is not his first rodeo, and you can tell by watching practice they haven't really missed a beat. In the age of the portal with transfers and stuff, it's amazing how he's brought this team together already. The chemistry's good. Coaching staff's working hard. Players are working hard. I think you're going to see a different brand of football. Offensively, we're going to be more of a run team, but we've got some outstanding running backs. Donaldson and this new kid, Luke, from Arizona. I've been here a long time. I've seen a lot of great running backs, but this guy by far is the fastest running back I've ever seen at Fresno State. Now, there might be others, but he did run a 10-2 900 meters, so there's probably not many around that have run better than that. But, for a 185, 190-pound young man, thing I'm most impressed about is he's a physical runner.
Yeah.
But if he gets to the edge, he can take it. The receiving core is working very hard, and they've got some new receivers in there, and it's starting to come together. Quarterback, the battle's been won by E.J. Warner, who to me is a really tough mentality guy. He reminds me a lot of Ryan Colburn, just a tough kid. The players, I think, rally around him really good. The tight end's an outstanding position for us. And the offensive line has improved. I think really improved under Coach Crabtree. I think you're gonna see a football team that can run the ball, play action pass, screen. When they have to throw it down the field, they can. On defense, a lot of new faces on defense, more than on offense. A lot of transfers, especially in the defensive line. It was really great to see number 0, the defensive end from USC, made every practice this fall, and Hosea Freeman's made every practice. Being able to be accountable to be at practice every day. They're both outstanding players, but a lot of times they were out of practice. So having them there every day, he gives us our best chance to have a premier pass rusher. Our linebackers are new, good speed. I think you're going to see a really good secondary, though. Our secondary, JD once again's got outstanding corners. I think you're going to see a team that can play man-to-man. The biggest question is, can they get to the quarterback with 4 rushers? That was one of our problems last year, not being able to get to the quarterback with a 4-man rush. And when you can't do that, it sort of cuts you down to what you have to do in the secondary. So I see a lot of improvement on our football team. I think it's going to be a more physical type of brand of football. I'm excited about watching them.
Newcomers, Paul, you've been talking to them after practice. Who is that person? What is that mentality, that thing that they bring to this team? We have so many new guys on the team in general, but who stands out to you, and what's that thing that they bring to this team that's maybe a little different?
Well, there's a few of them that come to mind. You guys are recording this, right? So we can go back, take what Pat just said, and that can be our pregame show. He covered most of it.
Yep.
Newcomers all over the place. The one he mentioned is the one I'm most excited to see, which is Speedy Luke. Because as deep as that running back position is, Arsenault looks a lot better. Brandon Ramirez is going to help. We've seen Gilliam out there. Devin Rivers wants a shot. But Speedy Luke's a game changer. Anytime he touches the ball, he's got a chance to go all the way, whether that's return game, a handoff, screen game. They can line him up all over the field. Different kind of animal. On the defensive side of the ball, one guy who I think has stood out is Jadon Pearson. For his teammates to vote him a team captain in his first year says something about the kind of leader he is. So that's one. I think a lot of people, Pat mentioned Corey Foreman on one side of the defensive line. There's some other returners that have been impressive. Martin Owusu, I think, has a chance to be a great run stuffer. But kind of want to see number 19, Finn Claypool, see if he can do for the Fresno State Bulldogs what he did for the Drake Bulldogs.
He's an effort guy. Just
right?
An effort player. Love the way he plays. Yes, you're right.
And you had a few of those guys here who turned out to be pretty special.
Type
Tyler
guy.
Clutz.
Who was the kid? The young man that played in our first couple years. Kid from Utah.
Jake Probst.
Jake Probst. A lot like Jake Probst. Just an effort guy. What that one coach call him? A ball full of butcher knives.
You don't want to touch that. I'll save some for Cam.
All right, Cam. They announced the captains. 3 of them are from the defensive side of the ball. 2 of them are in the secondary. You got to feel some pride about our defense, right?
Yeah, I think Cam Bracha's story is just so great, right? Not recruited, had to go to Fresno City, had to walk on at Fresno State, played good football, and then got injured. And for him to come off that injury and still show the type of leadership, he was injured a little bit in fall camp too, but to still be voted by his teammates a captain, I think it just kind of proves that you need a leader in the secondary to make sure everybody's on the same page, everybody understands the expectations, and Cam Bracha is 100% that guy. So can't wait to see him in his senior year. I know he's been working incredibly hard, and he leads a very talented, experienced secondary. Anytime you have J.D. Williams getting guys ready, you know you're going to have, 3 or 4 cornerbacks that can take the field at any time. The backups can play just about at the same level as the starters do. Some experience at the safety position with Cam and Jadon, who played a lot last year. So, if there's nothing I love more about watching football, it's watching a dominant, experienced secondary make it really difficult for offenses to move the football, and that's exactly the group that they have this year.
Yeah, we're going to have the secondary. We can play man-to-man.
Yeah.
I mean, we can lock up with most anybody we play against. And when you can do that, that gives you another real nugget in your tool bag to rush.
Yeah, frees a lot of people up, right? You don't have to drop into zone coverage. You can send an extra guy. If you can't get there with 4 and you can play man coverage, now it frees up a rusher so you can bring 5 and you're not worried about giving up a big play. So Nick Benedetto I'm telling you, every night he's thankful that he has that secondary because it gives him so many options as to how he can get after the quarterback.
But for our fans, that's where the new names are. A lot of new names on defense. We talked about Finn Claypool. We talked about Owusu inside at the nose. We also talked about the 3 technique. Lafitte, he's a transfer from SC, and Corey Foreman, a transfer from SC, and the 2 inside linebackers, one's from Arizona State and the other one's from Utah State, the Nichols from Utah State. So one of the safeties that's backing up Cam and in the secondary is a Northern Illinois guy. So, we've got a lot of new faces, and it's really what I said about the coaching staff earlier, how they blended this team into a team so fast. Give a lot of credit to the coaches and the players for really accepting everybody in. It's a tightly knit group right now, and we'll be ready to play at Kansas.
I think with how many position battles were up for grabs, fall camp obviously was extremely exciting just to see where everybody was battling, fighting, just trying to be that guy on the field. What makes that exciting for week 1? I mean, you were battling until last week to just make the starting position or the 2 deep, whatever it might be. What makes that exciting for game week when you go that hard that long?
I mean, competition breeds excellence, really. Like, if you're safe in a position, if you don't have to work and grind every single day, maybe you don't improve every day like you need to be the best player you can be when that first Saturday comes around. So the fact that there was so much competition, there was so much open competition, not just a guy who was 3rd on the depth chart who wanted to be a first-string guy. He had an opportunity to be a first-string guy, and that first-string guy understood everybody's hunting for this position. I think that it raises the level at every position group on the football field, and if you raise the level of every position group, the total product is going to be much better than it would be. So, yeah, I don't think anything better can happen to a football team in training camp than a ton of competition, and that's exactly what Fresno State had.
We're also starting a true freshman at left tackle.
First time in a long time is what Savannah told
Braden,
us.
he's from Buchanan High School, 6'7", about 320 pounds, and he earned the position. He's going to be an outstanding player. He's still a pup, He's still a young player with a lot of his ceiling is so high, and when he reaches that ceiling, he could be a great football player over at left tackle. And on the other side, Fullwood, I'd say, is the most improved player on the offensive side of the ball. He's been here, this is his 5th year, and he has really developed into an outstanding tackle. I'm really interested to see how those 2 tackles play in their real first games as starters, under the lights against other opposition, because they've had really good fall camps. But Fullwood, at 6'6", about 320 pounds, his protection has been outstanding. All these things I'm saying about him, I hope it comes to fruition on Saturday, but he's had an outstanding camp. Inside Spolmer at center, great move for us to be able to move him in there. And then it's good to see the young man from Oregon State come back and take over the right guard position. That's McCard.
Yeah.
And he's coming off a knee injury, knee surgery. He's coming back. The left guard's coming back after a knee surgery. Spencer Fanau, Edward Fanau, and that really helps us. Our offensive line is gelled really good, but there's good competition there. Julian Palendo's probably the sixth man, had a really good fall camp. Penn Wright's there, so we've got some depth in the offensive line, but it's going to be fun to watch. A lot of new faces, a lot of new starters, but I think this team has come together really well. And the thing that Coach emphasizes so much is the fact that toughness wins. And when you watch them practice, they practice with a physical tempo, which I love to see. I think you can talk about physicality all you want, unless you do it. It's very hard to turn that switch.
Yeah, I can attest to those physical practices we used to have. And I mean, guys either step up or they just kind of fade away. You just don't really survive those physical practices if you don't have the mental toughness. And
and the good thing about those kind of practices, players like you sort of get rid of the weak ones. If you're not going to live up to the standard, and that's what they're developing here. If you're not going to live up to the standard, the player is going to take care of it.
Yep.
Learn quick.
A lot of new players going on the road to a Power 5 school, a new renovated stadium. Would you say when you're on the road, is there less noise or more noise when you're at home? Less distractions? Like, do you hunker down as a team on the road so you have less distractions than you do at home? Or what do you think from a player and a coach perspective?
Well, from a coaching perspective, I never really noticed any of that myself, and I don't know if the players really do. It's like, once you get your first hit in, you're pretty much it's on.
You're locked in from then on.
It's like the first time you get punched in the nose, you're forgetting about why you're fighting. You're just fighting. So, and I think that's the mentality we'll have going in. The only problem with these kind of games is you got to take a plane and you got to take a trip and you sleep in an unfamiliar bed but you're with your guys. That's a great thing about road games here at Fresno State. We don't have a dorm to go to. We don't have a training camp where all the guys stay together. So the road games are your way of bonding. I think it's great to have a road game early in the year for these kids to be together for 2 days.
I think you guys did some bonding when you went not to Kansas but to Kansas State, because that trip was like perfectly smooth. Everything went according.
We didn't get into our hotel till 3:30 in the morning, and I was livid. Not because of the trip, but I saw guys yawning and acting tired. So I had a team. Yeah, I had a team meeting, and because we had to get up the next day and play at 11, and I had a team meeting, and I promised them in not so kind words if I caught anybody yawning at the pregame meal, which was at 7 o'clock or something. They had about 4 hours of sleep. I was going to go off. And I'm looking around. I was trying to find somebody. I couldn't find anybody.
You think he's telling a story, but it's I wasn't there for that one, but I've been there for other ones.
And I'll tell you what, we went out there and we kicked their rear end all over the field. But on the way home, those guys they were out like lights. They played.
I used to love going on the road because just for that reason, it's just your guys.
Yeah,
it's just you and the guys, and you're on a mission to go win a football game. And you can, whatever's going on at home, whatever responsibilities you have or things that need to be done, I have a test due on Monday, all that's out the window. It's nothing but football. And I feel like we always played our best when we were just able to hone in and focus on football.
I could tell we were going to have a good game when their nose man came across the 50-yard line and Jerron Fairman, a wide receiver, decked him. I knew we were going to be ready to play.
When you guys go into a big environment like Kansas, obviously it's known for the P5. They're a huge basketball school. Their student section is rowdy as can be. But like going on a trip to a game like that, is it different knowing you've got a bigger team per se, that Power 5, Autonomy 5 name, where you want to knock them off versus you're just playing another team that maybe is considered the same as you?
You got to be careful with that, because sometimes I think we played at a very high level against those kind of teams and kind of flat after that maybe the next week. So you got to be really careful. You got to treat all the opponents, you say you want to treat them the same, but it's not the same. You can say that all you want, but it's not the same. They'll be juiced for this, but when they come home next week, they got to recalculate and get ready for a really tough Georgia Southern team.
Get that same juice flowing,
and that'll be up to the coaches and for the senior leadership and the team leaders of that football team to make sure that the guys understand that.
I know you three have already started doing your homework on Kansas, so Where are their strengths, and where do you think that the Bulldogs can take advantage?
Well, I'm just going to talk about one guy. Their quarterback's a real dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the real deal. And when people talk about quarterbacks, you listen to the guys on TV talk about quarterbacks operate better in chaos. He can operate very well with chaos going on around him. He's very fast. He's got a strong arm. The key to our football team defensively is going to be we're going to have to contain the quarterback. And what I mean by that, our defensive ends or whoever's got contain has got to be, we talk about it all the time in the booth, stay on the upfield shoulder. Don't let him get outside. Now, this guy, when he's a spinner, he likes to spin to get outside. So that's another way to get you to bite when they start to spin. So if this guy gets on the perimeter, he's very, very dangerous. So if we keep him in the pocket, he's not as good a player.
Paul?
Well, I think Pat hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's where the danger is. And the other thing that can be a factor is the environment. Who's going to get off to a good start, right? Pat talks about once you feel that first hit. He also wanted to see somebody hit someone in the mouth. You think about that championship team that Jeff Tedford had. Almost every game, Jeff Allison is smacking somebody, and the tone of the whole game changes. So who's going to land that first blow, right? If you've got a sold-out crowd, people fired up for the newly renovated stadium, if you can suck some of that air out of the Kansas crowd early, I think it changes the whole rest of the game. Whereas if Kansas gets a big play touchdown out of the gate, all of a sudden that may not make it easy for Fresno State. So I'm looking, the matchup's fun, and the matchup's kind of foggy because of a new coaching staff here and all the transfers. I think both coaching staffs are a little confused on how to scout the other. But, how does the game start and how do teams respond? That's what I'm going to be watching for, because momentum is the most powerful force in sports.
Yeah, how do teams respond to adversity? Because, we've been talking the whole time, a lot of transfers. It's all cool when it's practice and you're in the meeting room and you're joking around, but when the bullets are flying, dudes better step up and handle their business. And if they don't, things can go south very quickly. These guys don't know each other all that well. So if Speedy Luke can take one to the house, Fresno State can have some big plays. Now there's some doubt creeping in on that Kansas sideline. How well can that coaching staff keep them together? Because, this offense, if they get rolling and they can run the football, they will try to run dudes out of the stadium. And if you have a group that don't know how to work together, can't handle adversity that well, it's a huge opportunity to get just what Paul's talking about, get some momentum and just let that snowball keep growing and growing and growing. And next thing you know, it's the fourth quarter and the Dogs have a lead and they're trying to close out a victory on the road.
And game one, anything can happen, right? Really, this is a week earlier than most of the country. Yeah. So Kansas, does that team really know who it is yet? How well prepared are they? And one thing Coach Entz has said, Coach, you've heard this, every practice he's telling his guys, we want to be the best prepared team in America. If they really are, if they're really that prepared and they can execute at that kind of level, Kansas might not know what hit them.
I really believe this, in a game like this, when you're playing one of these guys on the road in their stadium, like their stadium's just open, a lot of hype behind the quarterback. If this game's close going into the fourth quarter, the pressure definitely changes. The pressure's on them. And, see how they play under pressure. So we need to be in striking distance or in the lead in the fourth quarter. And I feel if we're in that position, we win.
Might be stealing a little bit of Paul's thunder here, but is there a side of the ball that you think will lead to a Fresno State win, or a person that you guys think who's going to be that player of the game potentially to take us across that finish line? Which side of the ball or player?
You know what Cam's going to say.
I mean, that's tough, man. There's a lot of guys that I think I'm going to go with probably the obvious guy, Bryson Donaldson. I just feel like, if he can run the way that I think he can, he's going to tote it 20 to 25 times, and Fresno State's going to control the tempo of the football game. If he can put up, break 100 yards, get into the end zone a couple times, I think Fresno State dictates how this game goes. And if they're able to do that, I think, in the fourth quarter, this team is going to have more than Kansas is going to have down the stretch.
I'm just shocked he didn't pick a DB. I thought for sure. I mean, are there too many to choose
There's
from?
11 games left. So I had to get one offensive guy out of the way. The next 11 can be DBs.
I think Cam hit it earlier. It's the key is going to be the front seven on defense being able to stop the run. This team likes to run the football. The quarterback's outstanding and he can throw it, but they win games by running the football. And they have a very sophisticated run game, like we do. We're not just a simplistic run game outside zone and counter. I mean, we've got some great schemes. This is a run football team, and they're a run football team. So I think it's really going to be paramount that our defensive front hold up against their offensive line. We're going to have to stop the run.
I'm going to go with an obvious one, too, and that's the quarterback. Because E.J. Warner hasn't thrown a single pass for Fresno State, but he's played a ton of football. He's been on some not-so-great teams against tough opponents on the road when everything's working against him, and he's found a way a couple times to lead some comebacks, right? And yes, Fresno State's going to lead with the run, but when it's third down and you need your quarterback to make a play, how's he going to come through? Maybe even on fourth down. There may be some situations they're going for it on fourth down. And one thing that's encouraged me through fall camp, I don't know what your take is on this, Pat. If you just go from the start of fall camp to now, I think the position group that's improved the most over that stretch is the receiving group.
I agree.
Freeman's phenomenal. He's an NFL guy. You're seeing some young people. Harold Duvall, man, he's going to make some plays. And the unsung hero to me of maybe the whole football team is Jordan Brown. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy, but there's no one on that team that wants it more than number 81, and he sets a standard with his leadership that I think is having a bigger impact than his numbers ever will.
Yeah, the young man from Maryland too, 84.
Avit.
He's given him another downtown threat along with Freeman. Brown's going to be your inside runner, tougher nails. Mala'ulu's in there also. The receiving core has really improved, and our tight ends. I think is a very, very strong group. But the running back situation, just hold on when number 2 gets the ball. Just hold on.
Don't blink.
Hit the start.
Whoa, Nelly.
All right, Paul, for the Red Wave that's making the trip out there, what are some sites they should go see out in Kansas?
I have never been to Lawrence, Kansas, so I'm excited for the first trip. I have gotten some hiking trails that have been recommended. But, Kansas basketball, I mean, there's you can go from the start of the sport, Dr. James Naismith, who ended up coaching there. They've got a display there, the history of basketball. We got to see that, Cam.
Yeah.
With peach baskets?
Yeah, with peach baskets. To Dean Smith, to Michael Jordan, I mean, that's the whole history of basketball. It goes back to KU. So that's something I think we got to try to see. Team's going to be staying closer to Kansas City. Cam's Bears are playing the Chiefs the night before, so I think fans have a chance to do that. If they get in a day early, they can go see the Royals. And our Fresno wonder dog, Rex Hudler, is one of their announcers. I'm sure he'll say hi to you if you just yell Fresno. You never know what Rex is going to say. But I don't know if we're going to have time. What I would really love to see, because in Kansas City, I have seen the World War I Museum. And if you're a history buff fans, you should go there. It's kind of haunting and heavy, but it's definitely worth your time. What I haven't done there that I hope we can is the Negro League Baseball Museum. I've heard phenomenal things about it. It's a unique history. Fresno's got some tie-ins to that history. A lot of the World War II veterans I've interviewed have a connection to it, and I've never had the chance, so if we get a little window, if Pat lets us go, we'll go. How's that?
Hey, you're free. I just hang around the hotel. I don't go anywhere. I just sort of hang around.
Well, if we go to the Negro League Museum, you got to go with us.
Well, I just thought I'd click my heels 3 times and say there's no place like home and get to Kansas.
Pat, you're not in Kansas yet.
Is there a yellow brick road, or is that around?
I'm not going to say it. Okay.
Cool. Well, I think we're all pumped that football is back, and we're going to be there before we know it. So.
Well, we're excited that you guys are back.
Really?
Yeah.
This is my plane buddy.
Yeah. Play some solitaire.
We will play solitaire. I busted out solitaire last week because I was thinking, Pat's going to make fun of me if I can't finish a solitaire game.
Cam's gotten really good.
Yeah.
Cam's gotten really
You
good.
can't be playing on hard either. You have to make it a little more difficult.
He plays
I've
expert.
been doing the two suits. I haven't made it to the 4 suits yet. I'm taking my time.
You need to step up to the 4
I know,
suits.
you're right.
But Cam cheats. He always takes them back and moves them back. He does all sorts of stuff. You're
Well,
not
glimpse into the
supposed to
back of the
see if
plane
there's
there.
any more openings. You're supposed to just play.
I'm just looking forward to hanging out with these guys. You
Yeah.
asked what we did in the off season. I missed hanging out with these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much fun on the road. I know
think
our
you're-
listeners enjoy the trash
back of
talk.
the plane.
Smiling.
You haven't experienced true belly laughs until you've sat in the back of a Fresno State football
I mean,
plane.
I'm in the back row.
We don't even have a window
Yeah.
back there.
Yeah, we don't even have a
Back row
window.
crew, baby.
We don't
That's
need a
how we do
window.
it. Nope.
We don't need no stinking window.
Well, week 0, game 1, they'll be on the radio. We'll be on the sidelines doing our thing. We're glad that you guys tuned in. Again, thank you for joining the pod. We'll see you next time.
Go Dogs.
Na na na